So what's up, people? This is Robert Bassano. I just want to come back to you guys again, share some information with you. I got to talking with Alice again, and Alice says, "Hey, you want to take another trip down the rabbit hole? I want to show you something else." And it actually involved a commercial I saw yesterday when I was watching CNN. I was watching Christian Amanpour. He was talking about NATO, and then they went to commercial break, and this interesting NASA commercial came up. And what it showed was a picture of the Earth. You know, it was a cartoon animation. And then they showed a picture of this cartoon animation of the sun. And then it started showing all kinds of information about the Earth and the size of it and the shape. Of course, they showed a globe, and then they showed the sun. And then it went on to show how many Earths can fit into the sun, what's the distance of the sun from the Earth. And then the video started to progress, and it showed a comparison of how you could develop a perceptual understanding of how big the sun was compared to the Earth. And they showed another picture of the front door of a home, saying that this is the sun. And then they peered into the keyhole. They zoomed all the way into the keyhole of the door to illustrate this is how small the Earth is. And then the video ended with the words, "Got it? Get it? Good." And on the bottom it says source NASA. So I'm like, what the fuck? Was that a fucking flat earth message? Was that saying, hey, we know what you guys are doing, so we're going to put out counter information to make sure we keep everybody on target with regard to what we're telling them the Earth looks like? So I went looking for this video. Couldn't find it on NASA's website, couldn't find it on CNN's website at all. Couldn't find it on the internet at all. Typed in all kinds of queries, nothing came up. And usually, NASA puts that shit on their website where you can find it, with regard to media inquiries and relations. So, speaking to Alice, we go down deep in the rabbit hole, deeper than we've ever gone before, and I decided to type in source : NASA. And lo and behold, all this crazy shit just popped up, in the search. And I'm starting to see, websites regarding coding, websites regarding open source code, autonomous systems and robotics, artificial intelligence. So I just started to go digging a little bit deeper, right? And then I stumbled across some crazy shit on this website, Code NASA. And the reason why I found this interesting, and again, I want everybody to understand that I'm not looking for information to, support my belief. I'm curious. I'm into software programming, GPU, CUDA, BlackBerry OS, Android, Red Hat Linux, and I know quite a bit about machine learning and AI and computer programming. So I'm thinking, okay, I saw a video the other day where a guy, flat earther, he put up a video. I think he's from Australia or London, and he made the insinuation that there was a possibility they had some sort of software program that he believed whereby they could take the footage from a high altitude plane like a drone. We've all seen, we know that they have those large Reaper and Predator drones, which NASA helped develop with Lockheed and Boeing, and they put these bad boys up at extremely high altitudes. They're completely autonomous, stationary atmosphere over a non-rotating Earth. So I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, if you do have a picture of the Earth, then you can take that video, and then you upload it into the high-performance computer they have, the supercomputer, and then you start creating all types of image processing, graphics, visualization. You just basically go from scratch with this whole thing. And then I stumbled across this. The QUIP, Quick Imaging Processing, on NASA's website, open source. QUIP provides an interactive environment for computing and presenting images and image sequences, manipulating and storing arbitrary data, and general scientific computing and plotting. The current release supports Unix-like operating systems tested on Linux and Mac OS X, and Apple's iOS mobile operating system, GPU accelerating is supported with either CUDA or OpenCL, which I know both of those. There's a built-in support. So I'm thinking to myself, psychophysics? What the hell? Am I confirming? Is it a possibility I'm getting ready to confirm that these videos are actually being put out? They're all artificial and a supercomputer's conducting all of this shit? Even the shit that they claim that's live? But wait till you see what more I'm going to show you. This is fucking incredible, people. Alice is taking me deep. Inventory system for lab equipment, worldwide options, EOS, on Earth. I mean, look, this is all open source, people. You can go to all of this. And there's a possibility you will be able to create exactly what NASA's creating if you have the computer memory and power to actually do it. But this is all of their open source software they're using. World View Design. I'm not even going to go there. This video is just basically to show you guys that this exists. Their disk repository contains the wireframes and designs for NASA's World View. This code was originally developed at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center for the Earth Science Data and Information Systems EDIS project. People, you got to go to this. This is code.nasa.gov. You have to see this for yourself. And for those of you out there who are interested in programming and software development and open source SDKs, this may be the holy grail, people. This may be it. This may be it, people. This actually may be it. You're going to have to see this for yourself. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Google Earth Offline Cache Preloader, Desktop Exploration Remote Terrain, Kepler Community Database. I mean, they're taking all the data, they're putting it up into a computer, and they're creating the computer-generated images and videos. They're doing the same thing. IPv6 socket manipulation for Python. Wow. Earth data search, data curtains, core flight systems, data search, data storage, application version, file plotting tools, Python polarimetric radar beam blockage calculation. I mean, you know, to give them a little bit of defense, I'm going to say that yes, they're using this to create simulations so they know what aircrafts are going to do, what space vehicles are going to do when they're in a specific environment. But if you couldn't really do this, but you could think of it and you can create it on a computer, that means you can make it look like it's fucking real. Because when you go all the way back up to the coding, psychophysics. Do we really even search to see what that is, people? Do we really want to see what psychophysics is? I mean, do you want to know? Because I want to know. I want to know what psychophysics actually entails. Okay? Psychophysics. Psychophysics. Let's go to study.com at Academy. Again, I don't like looking at perception lecture notes. I don't like looking at Wikipedia. That's for people who are just lazy. So psychophysics. Have you ever wondered what happens when you eat a juicy watermelon? How does the grainy texture of that pink fruit get translated into the sensation of sweet or okay, let's get going. Method of limitation. Limits. To measure obsolete threshold with the methods of limits, a researcher would present the stimulus in either a sentence. Okay, this is just basically, we want to keep it simple, right, people? Okay, let's keep it simple. Psychophysics is the scientific study of the relationship between stimuli, specific in physical terms, and the sensations and perceptions evoked by these stimuli. The term psychophysics is used to denote both the substantive study of stimulus-response relationships and the methodologies used for this study. Okay? That's psychophysics. So let's go back to where we were. So again, you guys see all of this. We're not going to go over all of it because this would be literally like a 4 or 5 hour video. But I wanted to show you this to illustrate there is a potential possibility all of this shit that you're seeing on video that you see the NASA does. I'm not saying that the rocket launches are not real, but what I am saying is this, is a lot of these launches that may be taking place at nighttime where there's nobody around to see them, or they're not being publicized that they're happening, they could be computer generated images and fake launches. A lot of the launches that are taking place in front of the eyes of thousands of people who are standing around to see the launches, those are real. Those are real launches. Or they could be fake launches, who knows? You know, I'm not going to say that they are fake launches, but can't take out the possibility that all kinds of crazy ass noise that could be created to simulate what it sounds like to hear a rocket actually fire off, because they actually can create these same sounds when they're doing rocket testing. If you've ever seen the videos where they're doing rocket testing, they actually have the engine, they're firing it off to see what the capabilities are, how the rocket's performing, what the engine sounds like, and they're recording all these sounds. So when you see what you believe to be the space shuttle or some rocket a few miles away from you, and you see the launch taking place, but there's all these type of other vehicles and apparatuses around the launch site projecting sorts of images and light, who's to say that that's not a holograph you're seeing, and the sound that you're hearing is not actually coming from a real vehicle being launched, but it's a sound being projected with very advanced speaker systems and sound systems that can project that type of sound and noise and that vibration. Okay? These things are possible, people. If you don't think that they're possible and you've been to an actual launch and you say, yes, that was a rocket being launched, hey, I'm not going to argue with you on that. But what's happening when you're not there watching the launch? You know, you might say, yeah, you talk to friends and this happened, but I need you to take this into consideration, because psychophysics, image processing, graphics, you can, if Hollywood can do this, NASA can do it. Okay? Because that's who they learned it from. Thank you, Stanley Kubrick. So, we go over to the software catalog. They have actually a technology transfer program, software catalog for 2015, 2016. You can sign up, use your email, create an account, and basically you can download the catalog. I've already downloaded and put it into my secure cloud, so anybody want to know who it is, you can just say, this is a U.S. government system, is authorized for use only. I actually signed up and I actually got the fucking document, to be perfectly honest with you. So I actually have an account. So, no, I don't work for the fucking government. So, another thing I wanted to show you guys was this, the NASA Whirlwind. Okay, this is an open source platform, cross-platform, completely free. You can download this, and I was in the process of downloading it, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, I'm going to accept, and it's going to give me the Whirlwind Java SDK 2.0. I'm going to download it and put it inside my folder and just let it go through its thing. We're going to see what that is later. I need to play around with it, see what it actually really is. You guys can go to NASA Whirlwind, download it yourself, play around with it. Maybe we can share some notes, but it's 98.8 megabytes, so it's going to take a while. But let's keep going here. So, I found this paper, Aerospace Research Central. Now, you have to pay to get this, so I'm going to have to log into my university later and use my university account to actually access this document. But here's the interesting thing about the title. Moving Sphere Simulations Using the Chimera Grid Approach. Moving Sphere Simulations Using the Chimera Grid Approach. You need to research Chimera Grid Approach. Do that on your own, okay? But I'm going to need to read this document to really come up with definitive results that they're creating this shit all through computer image processing, because they have more than a dozen supercomputers around the United States and the world. Okay, so this data and the way they're doing this, it's not happening from the United States. You can be guaranteed of that, because the United States suffers too many cyber attacks for that information to be compromised, for the whole fucking system to be crashed literally in a day. Okay, in a day. They would have to literally cut the cord to the fucking worldwide internet so that this couldn't be published by some hacking group. Okay? So let's go here. So what I did was I did download this paper, High Resolution Aerospace Applications Using the NASA Columbia Supercomputer. So I've got to go through this, read this whole thing. But what's interesting about this, and I haven't read through the whole document, and I want you to understand something, because there's been talk about, you know, there being potentially what is below is above. You know, there's waters in the ocean. We talked about a lot of things. There are people putting out videos saying that there's these lunar waves, and now they're talking about there may not be actual any kind of electromagnetic waves or heat waves, but there could be actual some sort of fluid dynamic environment that everything may be in the sky with regard to the sun, the moon, the space shuttle, the ISS, all of that. But what's interesting about this introduction, notice what they say. Computational fluid dynamics, CFD, techniques have been developed and applied to aerospace analysis and design problems since the advent of the supercomputer. However, in spite of several decades of continuous improvements in algorithms and hardware, and despite the widespread acceptance and use of CFD as an indispensable tool in the aerospace vehicle design process, computational methods are still employed in a very limited fashion in the design process. The full potential of these methods in delivering more optimal designs and accelerating the design cycle has yet to be approached. Now, I want you to understand something. You don't have to be an aerospace or astronautic engineer or an aerodynamic engineer to understand that if you're designing an aircraft to fly in atmosphere, in a gaseous, pressurized atmosphere, then you're going to put it into a wind tunnel, and you're going to create some sort of vapor trail where you'll be able to see the way the gases flow or the air flows over the wings of an aircraft. And when the aircraft turns left or right, pitch, yaw, you see how the air interacts with the structure of the aircraft. Now, that's not fucking fluid dynamics. Fluid dynamics is exactly what they say it is. You're using some sort of fluid composition source, liquid. They're using computational fluid dynamics techniques for aircraft testing and design, which means that if they're doing that on a computer and they're doing it in a laboratory and inside some sort of facility where they're testing this, then they're letting these fluids go interact with the aircraft vehicle, which means because that vehicle is going to be going into the same environment they're testing it under. Fluid, people. Fluid. I'll leave it at that. Again, I need to do some more reading. You guys are seeing this for the first time just like I am. Okay? So let's go to the overgrid. Now, to give you some clarity on what you're actually looking at, I'm going to show you what you're looking at. I found this. This is also a NASA website. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's people.nas.nasa.gov. It's people.nas.nasa.gov. Okay? I mean, Alice is fantastic. She's been taking me so fucking far down the rabbit hole. It's unbelievable. So I found this, and I wanted to research what the Chimera grid approach actually was. And yeah, this was put out version 2.1 in 2010. But let's just assume that this is an upgraded version of something that predates stuff that was being used before. Okay, so that's the assumption and presumption we can make because we don't have anything else to compare it to. So Occam's razor theory is the most logical conclusion is the most probable, right? Okay, Chimera Grid Tools User's Manual. So restrictions, read this before proceeding. Notices and disclaimers, read this before proceeding. Let's see here what they say, read this before proceeding. Many modules in the software package have been developed under the DoD High Performance Computing Modernization Program. It's called the CHISI CFD4 initiative. As a result, the following rules must be observed by the users of the software. Only U.S. citizens or permanent residents belonging to a U.S. organization are allowed to access allowed access to the software. Foreign nationals are permitted. Well, got the fucking cat out of the bag on this one. Hey, it's fucking open source. It wasn't a restricted website that I need to fucking log into. So if you're going to put it out there, I'm going to fucking find it. I'm going to post it and let everybody know. U.S. citizens, this is fucking crazy. U.S. citizens or permanent residents who would like to use the software must sign a software usage agreement form. In the past, a group leader, branch chief can sign for the group. The current rules require a signature from everyone who has access to the software, including indicating that they understand restrictions imposed on the software. Source code must reside on secure facilities, password protection at a minimum, and be readable only by individuals that have fully executed a software user agreement. Software is not allowed to leave the organization. Well, that's too fucking bad because I already fucking got it. Whoop the fucking do. So, I'm not saying I have the software, but here you go. Here goes the contents, bugs, search for keywords, references. Well, here's the software request procedure. But let me get to the point here. You see all of this, how they can create the space shuttle. They create everything that they need to create. You know, testing advanced aircraft. They see what happens to the aircraft. You know, flight dynamics. You know, just everything you could possibly imagine when it comes to aerodynamics and aerospace engineering. And what interests me was this, the overgrid, right? Here's the overgrid. So, what I discovered going to this overgrid version 2.3 is this software program, overgrid graphics window. Again, I'm not trying to claim that this is what they're using to create the computer-generated images. I'm not saying that the space shuttle never went up into space, which is not as far as we generally think it is. All right, people think the space is a vacuum and all this other jazz. It's not. No one goes into a vacuum. I'm sorry to disappoint you. That includes you, Globers. But when you look at the main menu for this overgrid version 2.3, you look at all the grid tools you can put, you color code them, which means that this software program, let's just say they needed to simulate this vehicle going into space, or they needed to create the background that this has launched, and the lighting has to be a specific way. Because here's what I think is happening, and this is just me being hypothetical and theoretical on this. If I wanted to create a video to show that I launched my own space shuttle from my backyard, and I had access to the daily real-time atmospheric data that every news weather station has access to, right, from NASA. And I want you to understand, the news that you watch on television, the weather that they're forecasting, they're getting all of that data from NASA. They don't have their own Doppler systems. They can't pay for this. They can't set these things up. They get them from the main sister station, and that sister station is got an account with NASA, just like a bank. And they're getting all their data from NASA. So if I wanted to create this and I have this software, all I have to do is input. All I have to do is input all of the atmospheric data into the software program, because remember, it's open source. Okay? It's open source. And then when you combine the two programs, you end up with the automated configurations or custom configurations, so that the video or the simulation that's being conducted, the specific type of light and reflections will be visible on the vehicle themselves as you believe it's being launched and going up into the sky. And then when it gets to the darkness of space above 328,000 feet, then things start to change and start to look a little bit funny. Okay? But when you look at debris tracing, solution, hybrid grid, components, you look at this program. Again, I haven't downloaded this yet, so I haven't played around with it to know exactly how it actually works. But from looking at this template, I can tell you here right now, I've actually seen a template like this in a aerospace systems engineering software program created for a private drone maker I know of, and he has something similar to this. It's not identical, but it's used for him. It's used so he could design drones to do certain things, to fly, have certain capabilities, and they factor in all of this. Okay, they factor in all of this, and when you look at the bottom of this template, you start seeing some things. Okay, and again, if you're not a software designer, programmer, or coder, and even if you are a programmer, coder, you don't have to be. But when you look at some of the selections that are given here with regard to axes, rotation centers, you have to punch in all of these codes. You look at, who knows what the rest of this does. But I mean, you're designing the aircraft for real-time situations, right? You have to program it in as though it's flying through the air. But in this particular case, they're using computational fluid dynamics. If you're not sure of what that is, just go to nvidia.com and they'll show you video illustrations of what their computational fluid dynamics capabilities are with graphic processing units, because this is used with GPUs. Everything's all visual. And if you know that everything they produce, NASA has to produce, is all based on graphic processing units, then that gives you the answer right there. That everything is based on visual frame of reference, recreation, and simulation of a visual environment, hence the term psychophysics. Stimuli, giving you specific images, specific things that they've already pre-programmed in you to identify as that has to be real. No, that has to be fake. And the difference between flat earthers and globals is that flat earthers are really way outside the box thinkers and highly intelligent people. I'm going to say that in a general sense, but somehow some people have slipped through the cracks and I don't know. They're outside the box, but they're not too far outside the box. And they're, who knows? They might want to be like a cat and jump back into the safety of the box, which they believe is sitting on top of a ball, spinning. But neither here nor there. So when you look at this program, you start to put things together in your head thinking, whoa, wait a minute here. Yeah, they're using this for computer simulation. But this data is also being applied to real time. That's how they get accurate at what they do. Whatever it is they're doing, however the way they're doing it. 3D, OpenGL provides 3D graphics display. We can only see things in 3D or 2D, right? So when you look at all of this, you should start asking yourself, is this how they're doing it? And I believe this is how they're doing it. If we're going to stick to our claim that they're faking it, then here goes the proof that they're faking it. Because this is highly complex. They don't expect us to go looking for this. They don't expect us to find this. They don't expect us to have people within the ranks who can locate this, identify it, disseminate it, decipher it, and put it to use. They don't expect it at all. You see it for yourself. There it is. Plain as day. So, I provided you with enough information to go do some searching. Start looking for yourself. Oops, sorry about that. people.nas.nasa.gov. That's the name of the website. Okay? What else did I wanted to show you? This is the paper that I showed you. We already looked at that. I showed you the NASA World Wind. I'll have that posted up for you so you can check it out. I might not. You guys just going to have to do some homework on this. And I've already downloaded the World Wind, so I'm going to check that out. But there'll be some more videos after this so I can tell you what it is I'm discovering. What do we got? Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. This is the last thing I wanted to show you. This is, what is this website? This website is software.nasa.gov. Okay? There's a technology transfer program I told you about. Listen, NASA has this program. NSA has this program. Department of Energy has this program. DARPA has this program. They all have it. The technology transfer program is basically tech that, they've already declassified. It's out there, and now they want to see what people like us can do with it to create something more advanced than what they have. Okay, that's why they put this out there. All right, it's not some sort of propaganda or counter intel to really fuck up your computers and fuck your life up and create something that's going to kill a lot of people. They really don't know what they're doing, and they need help. Okay, they really do. They really need the help. Okay, we know that they're not bright people working for that organization. It's impossible. They may have masters and PhDs, but they're not the shiniest apples in the basket, people, because they're in the basket. We're outside the basket. So here you go. I wanted you to see this. General Fluid System Simulations Programs 6.0. So what I want to do is this. You see how they're using general fluid system. So when we talk about computational fluid dynamics, what does that look like to you? Does it look like some sort of air or air, colored air, gas? No, it's not. It's liquid. Liquid fuel phase changes. Okay? They're using this same system to test the aerodynamics of aircraft, which means that they're going into the same environment that they're being tested in. And here we go. Look at this. I can actually request this bad boy, and I'm going to do just that. I am going to do just that. So let's see what we can do here. Let's do it. Let's do it together. I got to create an account. So I'm going to create an account, and I'm going to request this, and then I'll get back to you guys, okay? Other than that, it's been fun. You've got a lot of things to look into. Hopefully you were exposed to something you've never seen before. But for those who are focusing on NASA, and that is your only focus, and you've developed some sort of really, how should I say, stalker type of attraction for them, I have to admit, I'm right there with you. But I'm an observer on this whole thing. But I think this may be it, people. This may be what you might be able to use to prove to every global who's going to use anything from NASA to say, guess what? I figured out how to create the same video NASA created, and boom, here you go. And do a side-by-side, and bada bing, bada boom. Goodbye, NASA. Take care, people. See you in the funny papers. I'll post another one maybe over the weekend or next week. Take care.